Alright guys, TouchCoin back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday so far once again, and today we're going to talk about Flinch being removed from Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is a massive deal, to be honest, for competitive play, something that a number of the pro players, and Nadeshot especially, have been talking about for years in Call of Duty. It's finally going to be the case. The developers are super competent this year. They're really listening to some of the feedback from the competitive players, and to be honest, it is great to see. Going to talk about some of the implications of this as well, because definitely in terms of headshot multiplier, this could have a pretty big impact on exactly how the game is played for next season as well, and where it maybe enhances the skill gap to some degree for some of these professional players. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new, like if you enjoyed. As always, 1,000 likes is always the goal of these videos. Would be great to hit that once again, and let's hop into things. Call of Duty League yesterday confirms with the All-Star games going on that's continuing tonight. All of these guys now have creator codes. So Scump officially getting a creator code here. A number of other, of course, big names in the Call of Duty scene. So if you are voted in as an All-Star, you get your own creator code. And if you're making any purchases, I think, in the in-game store, these guys, if you use their code, these guys will get like 5% or something like that. Definitely some room for expansion in future seasons as well. Pretty cool to see that they're finally rolling this out. Of course, the big question was a while ago with Scump not getting one initially. Like, what's going on there? How are they like snubbing these guys? I imagine the plan was like, okay, we won't give them to them now, and we'll give them to Scump and Co when they do get the All-Star situation going in. But it would have been nice, I suppose, to just give it to Scump out up front, and then we wouldn't have really had to have that discussion at the time. But yeah, all these names are going to be having a creator code right now, which you guys can use in the store if you would like. This came out from Octane as well. Everybody calm down. Yes, it is true. I have received a creator code. If you guys want to help me pay fines, use code Octane for your in-game purchases. So yeah, pretty cool to see they're finally rolling it out to the pro players. Definitely something which was going to happen eventually, but yeah, I suppose just interesting timing once again. Also, to talk about the All-Star game really quick, Enable says, I get a guaranteed $1,000 for today's gunfight tournament. I've officially made more money in prize earnings than Octane's Sam in Modern Warfare. Because at the Call of Duty World Championship, yeah, it was not a pretty one for Octane and Co. They, well, finished with a big fat 0 in last place at the World Championship. So, yeah, pretty funny. Octane couldn't make it because he was at, like, Panda's wedding. I think a similar thing for some of the other guys. But Enable did step in. And as you can see right here, there's 16 players remaining that continues on tonight. Illy, Envoy, Silly, Cammy, Kismet, Scump, Zuma, Shotzi, Kleenex, Shawnee, Celium Attach, that's kind of a fun one. Dashy, Abizi, wow. Clayster Awakening. So yeah, some fun matchups here that are going to continue on tonight. But let's talk about this Flinch situation. We discussed this yesterday that came out from Exclusive Ace. Lots of people have expressed concern, rightfully so, about how high the headshot multiplier is in Cold War due to the Flinch. But it turns out there's little to no flinch when shot, as far as I can tell. The deeper I look, the more I'm seeing a really solid gameplay foundation. So as you can see in this clip right here, as he's getting shot at, he's clearly getting shot, and in typical Call of Duty past, when you get shot, your gun flinches up to some degree, and that's why toughness back in the Black Ops 2 days was such a key perk, because if you didn't run it, then whenever you got shot, your gun would just fly up to the sky, and you would go completely off target. Now, the real issue has been in competitive play, the combination between the flinch, but also the headshot multiplier, right? And the flinch has not been a favorite of competitive players, because often it can it can negatively impact you if you're the first player to shoot. If you're shooting at someone, you land like 1 or 2 bullets, they now stop, they aim down sight, they start shooting at you, their gun will get kicked up due to the flinch, and will often, in the past at least, will end up hitting your head and do higher damage than it would do otherwise, which actually negatively impacts the person who was shooting first. This has really been the key issue. The combination between a high headshot multiplier and flinch in the game creates a situation where the gunfights are often like anti-competitive, and the person who shoots second actually sometimes has an advantage due to getting a beneficially random like luck of, I suppose, the flinch just knocking their gun up to the head. This is something which we really don't want to see in a game like Counter-Strike. Of course, the headshot multiplier is very high. If you shoot someone in the head, you're going to kill them in almost 1 bullet with some of the weapons and do like 90 damage with the majority of the other ones. And the reason why that works in a sense is because the aim punch, as it's called in Counter-Strike, and I think PC FPS games, which is the same thing as like weapon flinch in this game, the idea of like aim punch is that if you buy armor in CS, you don't get any aim punch or any flinch at all, which means that you can like comfortably line up for the head, and if someone starts shooting you, that doesn't affect where your aim is being based, and therefore it means that you can have high headshot multipliers and not have to worry about the randomness of flinch having an impact on that. But it always has done in Call of Duty. We saw this especially, I think, back in the Ghost days, for example. I don't know if you guys remember when the Bison was buffed back in Ghosts, but it got so good at one point where one chest shot and one headshot would be a kill, and often you would see people just running around the map with a Bison, someone would shoot at them, they would get one chest shot off, and then like their gun would flinch up to the head, they would just get the second headshot and just immediately kill the other player. And that's not great for competitive play, and we've seen a number of players talking about this over the years, and Tony Flame has something to say about exactly how it will work in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Damage flinch has been redesigned in this game. Flinch is now primarily a feedback mechanism to understand you're taking damage without affecting the aim position of your weapon. Your weapon will move with your screen to stay on target. No more flinch headshots, says Tony Flame, and this is just phenomenal stuff. So the way this seems to work is that what you're looking at, your kind of screen, will flinch to some degree when you get shot, but your weapon will track where the center of your screen still is, so your weapon positioning is absolutely unaffected by the flinch you appear to see on your screen. That is, as he says, a feedback mechanism to show you are taking damage. This is a great move. This means that flinch is effectively a non-factor anymore in competitive play, and it's always been something which causes some randomness, right? Like, it's always very frustrating when you're posted up on a head glitch or something, or you're trying to beam someone off a head glitch, you hit the first couple of bullets, and then they hit you with one shot, and it like flicks your aim up above their heads, and you can't finish the kill because, you know, they happen to just have their head showing, and it was just an unfortunate situation, and that would happen quite a lot in Call of Duty history. You'd have the advantage in a situation, and then the flinch would kind of screw you over in that sense, and give an advantage to someone who doesn't necessarily deserve it in the gunfight. That's the common theme with flinch really in Call of Duty history, that someone in a gunfight disadvantage ends up getting some sort of benefit which they really shouldn't be having. So this is what Nadeshot's been talking about for a number of years. I found several tweets going back to 2017. The discussion was around this primed perk that was in the game back in the World War II days, and Michael Condrey and co were talking about how it did like reduce flinch, and then they actually like increased the flinch by 85% or something pretty tragic. And as Nadeshot says, I'm in disbelief. Now everybody has flinch, and gunfights are going to be an exchange of inconsistency. We are only a month in, and Nadeshot wasn't like playing competitively at this point, but yeah, we're still obviously keeping up very closely with the competitive scene. I stand by my words. Sledgehammer did a great job with the big picture of World War II. The game is fun and I enjoy playing when I do, but they need things to change ASAP. Too many things are finished and too many things are broken. Continues with this. Sledgehammer really needs to help themselves and just remove flinch from the game. Gunfights are unbearable unless you have the primed basic training skill equipped. Kind of in a similar way to in Black Ops 2. If you didn't have toughness on, like, what were you playing at, right? Like, your gun was just going all over the place. It was an absolute staple perk that you had to run, and that was the case really for a time in the World War II days as well. Nadeshot follows up with this: making toughness a basic training skill to reduce flinch was a mistake. All that flinch does is add inconsistency to the game. It is pointless. RNG, so like random number generation, just random situations, does not equal skill. If flinch/recoil was predictable, then it would be considered a skill and how to manage it, but that's been not the case really in Call of Duty history. The easiest thing to do about that obviously is just to get rid of it, and as he's saying here, like, we reduced the flinch reduction, so effectively increasing flinch with guns that don't have primary on, by 85%. So that's what they did at the time, and people weren't particularly happy about it. This was what finished it off with then. So please consider removing flinch from Call of Duty. All it does is add inconsistency to the game. It has no place in FPS. So Nadeshot went on a bit of a rant back in the day here in 2017. It did get changed to some degree in the World War II days to be more bearable, but flinch has definitely still existed in Call of Duty for a number of years. And to be honest, it is wonderful to see the fact that we're going into Black Ops Cold War, and typically going into a new Call of Duty game, they talked about how all the things they're doing are revolutionary. They're going to change up the game. They're going to do X, Y, Z. It's going to be the best Call of Duty you've ever seen because they're changing up like all these different things. And what's great about what the Treyarch developers are doing here is a lot of the things that for competitive play at least were frustrating in Modern Warfare, the doors, the mounting, this kind of stuff, they're like scaling that back. The normal minimap is returning, of course, and things that have been an issue in Call of Duty history, those are the things that they're now like revolutionizing the way they work. And removing flinch essentially is what they're doing here, right? Like, flinch still exists, but only in the sense to show you how you're being shot. It doesn't affect the position of your weapon in a gunfight at all, which makes it much, much easier to actually win gunfights that you did have an advantage in first of all, and not get screwed over by flinch, which happens quite a lot in a Call of Duty game. And as Nadeshot says, it's a pretty inconsistent thing. It's difficult to control and adjust for in a number of Call of Duty games. The key question to me here is that the headshot multiplier has been talked about to be quite high in Black Ops Cold War, something like 1.4. That's pretty high. Now, of course, in previous Call of Duty games, we've seen that due to flinch and other things like this, they've actually just eliminated the headshot multiplier, meaning that the situation where you're shooting at someone's body, they then like shoot you back first, and your gun then flicks up to the head and this kind of stuff, and you get like a lucky headshot kill. That's kind of eliminated because you just reduce the headshot multiplier. However, if there's no flinch, flinch, that now means surely that you can actually safely have a high headshot multiplier, and well, you don't have to worry about being flinched off their head, right? Because typically, if you're aiming at someone's head, Call of Duty pros don't tend to do this, right? Like if you're aiming at someone, you just aim center mass, because if you aim at their head, the flinch can end up just like flicking you off at like where exactly you're aiming, like straight at their head, right? However, if flinch isn't a thing, that maybe adds the potential for a skill gap where pro players can actually aim at the head in certain situations to have like a higher, well, to kill even quicker than they already do, not having to worry about flinch like flicking their aim up off that particular target that they're aiming at. So that's a possibility. I'm not sure if I necessarily like that. I kind of like the idea in Call of Duty that you kind of have to hit your 3 or 4 bullets rather than like, you know, a couple of headshots or something like that. But certainly that could be a thing that the developers consider here, keeping the headshot multiplier high for competitive play, given that the flinch has now been reduced, and adding that as a potential another skill gap to the game, and well, disadvantaging, I suppose, being on a head glitch to some degree, or like a situation where only your head is showing out of the cover, because you can get killed very quickly indeed, and maybe it offers another counter to people who like set up in that position, and makes it somewhat easier to take them out of those power positions. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Should headshot multiplier stay as it is right now, given that flinch is gone, and will that revolutionize really how we play Call of Duty? Because in Call of Duty history, no one really aims for the head in CoD unless someone is like in a position where you can only see the top half of their body, in which situation that's all you can do. But in CoD history, everyone just aims for the body for some of the reasons that we have discussed. Maybe this flinch reduction and the high headshot multiplier, if it is maintained, will completely change the way that professionals play Call of Duty, and maybe a real like learning curve, I suppose, for some of these guys. That's not out of the question by any means. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.